is about music venues in the name of Assembly Member Johnson.
Yes, thank you. This question is asking what are you doing to help safeguard the future of live music venues of varying sizes in the capital. Whilst Munira, I completely agree with you that the cultural strategy shouldn't cover everything that's already working extremely well. It does need to prioritise those things where public intervention is required. I do think this is one of those areas.
Yeah, I mean, we know that in the last few years there have been lots of news stories about music venues of different sizes. So from small-scale traditional pub venues to being closed down because landlords have decided to sell up, or large-scale nightclubs. We know that they've run into difficulties in central London because developers are coming in, Crossrail, etc. So because the city is changing and developing, inevitably there are some victims of that, some vulnerable casualties. So what we can do is primarily use our planning influence. So the London Plan states quite carefully that cultural attractions, cultural venues should be protected as much as possible. But that's guidance to local boroughs, and in many cases the local borough is the one with the real power, and where possible we have intervened where it's appropriate, and we have tried to encourage developers and the music venues to work together. So the Ministry of Sound case, which was just earlier this year, the development in Southwark that was called in by the mayor. The mayor insisted that the developer and the Ministry of Sound come to some arrangement to ensure that the Ministry of Sound would not be undermined by having residential development on its doorstep. So that's an example where we've intervened. There have been others. The 100 Club, the mayor gave his support to that continuing. It's now found a sponsor. But again, where we can, we try and influence. I think that it's partly about advocacy and recognising that music venues are both important to the nighttime economy and are actually quite a healthy way of attracting people into an area because they attract an audience, but they're not the same as just a pub where it's purely fueled by alcohol. So there's an attraction there for boroughs, and it's also about I think trying to minimise the regulation and the rules that can sometimes burden music venues. So we know that the Licensing Act, which has now been revised by the government, we championed and supported that in London.
Which has been very very helpful. I mean, I agree, it is varying sizes of venues, from the very, very largest, like Earl's Court, to the smallest to the smallest pub that are facing problems. I think they fall into three distinct categories. There's those that are hit by rising rents and so on because of the issues around property prices. There are those that are lost through major redevelopment projects, and then those whose viability are threatened because a neighbouring development threatens its future as a live music venue. But given the ongoing problems across all types of venues falling into that category, is the need for more specific policy in the cultural strategy on how to protect these?
I mean, the policy is. I mean, I can find the exact policy in the document, but as it was set out in 2010, the policy was to try and protect those organisations that might be vulnerable to developments and ensure that London maintains its status as a capital for culture.
Because on the issue of small theatres, for example, I know Tom Copley did an excellent piece of work on that, and I think some of the recommendations from that have found its way into the updated strategy. You have got a specific programme now for small theatres. Is there a need for a specific programme to be set up to protect live music venues in the same way that you've now introduced a programme on small theatres?
Well, the programme on small theatres is actually a collection of things, some things that we were already doing or were in train. We haven't. I don't know if we've.
Can I ask you to go away and think about putting a programme together on this? Because the threats are coming up time and time and time again. It's not just a one-off thing that's gone away.
I completely agree with that. We have had a round table with a number of the live music venues. I think the feeling at the time was that the mayor didn't, it wasn't really required for us to do a task force or to do a big announcement, but rather to just work with them on specific issues as and when they came up, because they recognised that actually the mayor's powers are limited.
The mayor's powers are limited, but I think the mayor is an extremely powerful advocate for things things like this on culture, and I think that the mayor could be playing a real leadership role here, rather than waiting for problems to come up as they arise, and we know that more and more will arise. Can I ask you to go away and think about putting a specific programme together on this?
Happy to.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. Assembly Member Copley.
Thank you, Chair.